St. Augustine, Florida, is known for its rich history and scenic beauty, but hidden beneath its charming streets lies a dark secret, one that many wish they could forget. The old jail, built in 1891, is more than just a historic site. It's a place where the echoes of the past refuse to fade, where restless spirits still roam, and where the boundaries between the living and the dead are disturbingly thin. The first incident, the Shrieking Man. It was a quiet evening in the 1990s when a family of 4 decided to tour the infamous old jail. They had heard the rumors, the chilling whispers from locals about strange happenings, but they brushed it off as superstition. As they walked through the dark, cold halls, a sense of unease settled over them. The walls seemed to close in, and the air grew heavy. But it wasn't until they reached the deepest part of the jail that the real horror began. A sudden, blood-curdling scream echoed through the halls. It was high-pitched and raw, like a man in the throes of his final moments. The family froze. The sound was so piercing, so anguished that it sent chills down their spines. They turned around, expecting to see someone in distress, but the corridor behind them was empty. No one was there. Then, as if on cue, the shriek came again, closer this time. The family ran through the hallways, but the scream followed them, growing louder, more frantic. It was as if the very walls of the jail were alive with the cries of those who had suffered within them. The second incident, the ghostly footsteps. Months later, in 2001, another couple decided to visit the old jail. They were skeptical, dismissing the haunted stories as mere folklore. But as they stepped into the cold, stone corridors, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The temperature dropped suddenly. The hairs on the back of their necks stood on end. And then they heard it, soft footsteps behind them. At first they thought it was another visitor, but when they turned to check, no one was there. They paused and listened, but the footsteps kept coming, closer and closer. The sound of boots scraping against the cold stone floor echoed through the silence, too real, too distinct to ignore. The couple hurried forward, but the footsteps followed. With each step they took, the sound grew louder, closer. Finally, they turned a corner, and the footsteps stopped. There was no one, just a cold, empty corridor. But the silence wasn't comforting. It was suffocating, as if the darkness itself was watching them, waiting for them to make their next move. The third incident, the cold touch. In 2005, a group of tourists entered the old jail, eager to experience the eerie atmosphere of one of the most haunted places in America. At first, everything seemed fine. They marveled at the historic building and took photos, laughing among themselves. But as they ventured deeper into the jail, something began to change. One by one, each person in the group began to feel something cold, something that didn't belong. A hand, icy to the touch, gently rested on their shoulder. But when they turned to look, no one was there. The first tourist shrugged it off, but as the cold touch repeated itself, first on one person, then on another, the group grew uneasy. The air grew colder, and an oppressive silence filled the space. The group tried to laugh it off, but deep down, they knew something was wrong. The cold touch returned, this time on the neck, then the back. No one could explain it. No one could see anything, but it felt like a presence was there, right behind them, watching. With their hearts racing, the group made their way toward the exit, but the cold followed them, staying just a step behind. As they left the building, the last one in line swore they felt a freezing breath on their neck, as though something or someone had followed them out. The fourth incident, the shadow figure. The most terrifying incident of all came in 2010. A group of friends, confident in their skepticism, had decided to spend the night at the old jail. They had heard the stories, but they didn't believe in ghosts, or so they thought. As night fell, the group began to explore the darker corners of the jail. They were joking, laughing, until they reached the old cells in the back. It was there that they saw it. A shadow, a figure, tall and distorted, standing motionless against the wall. The group froze. The air thickened. The shadow didn't move, but its presence was undeniable. They couldn't tear their eyes away, but they couldn't approach it either. The fear was paralyzing. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the shadow vanished, but the cold, unnatural stillness remained. The group split up, searching the area for any explanation, but there was nothing. No sign of anyone, no other tourists, no source for the shadow. It was as if the figure had melted into the air itself. As they gathered near the exit, one of the friends looked over their shoulder. The shadow was there again, this time closer. But when they turned around fully to face it, there was nothing. The fear they had tried to ignore was now all-consuming. Their minds couldn't comprehend what they had seen, but they knew one thing for sure. Something in that jail was alive, and it wasn't human. Today, the old jail in St. Augustine is still one of the most haunted places in America. Visitors continue to report cold spots, strange figures, and eerie sounds that seem to come from nowhere. The spirits of those who once languished behind its walls refuse to rest, trapped in a place that holds both their pain and their rage. The building stands as a chilling reminder of the past, where the living and the dead share the same space. If you ever decide to visit, remember one thing. The old jail isn't just a place to learn about history. It's a place where the past is very much alive, and it's waiting for you